Welcome to the last day of the heats for the Kart World Championship. It's round 7 and 8. This time we're on the full track, quite a long lap actually. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what it is. I think it's like a minute 20 something. But here we go, our one lap quali, one chance. In round 7, pulled every day there was a different number, there was different karts every day. They just kept rotating some out and some in for making the tyre wear even, something like that. So we've got a kart which hadn't been used the whole week. Very interested to see how it would do. This is obviously one of the earliest races, and it didn't seem too bad. So far the lap's okay. You got one thing I did notice about this kart actually, it's very oversteering. So you'll see in a sec, not this corner but the next corner, it is quite tricky. But you know, for me, normally you kind of know which kart's good or not, but because this one was like basically I had no idea, it was I really had no expectation whatsoever, and we were just gonna give it our best shot, of course, nail the lap as we do. Any mistakes and we'll be heavily punished for it. And nice and clean through this chicane. In the last few corners now for this one lap quali of round 7. Obviously the semi-finals and the finals take place the following day, but now we're just getting in our last heat scores, best 7 to count of the 8, last quali lap, second last quali lap, and across the line. And where do we finish? We are in P3. Very pleased with that. Really not too shabby. I really needed a high result, so qualifying P3 was good. Naturally you'd expect to be able to jump straight into P2 starting here, so that's something we can give it a go. Obviously we've got very fast drivers around us as always, and it's never going to be easy. I think it's George Suarez on the right, and I forgot his name, Alexandro Finisa I want to say. I can't remember now, can't remember these names. But yeah, Stewart watching the rolling start, making sure we're all well behaved, and coming on the main straight now. Guy in first place is in, I remember this as much, kart 23. I remember kart 23 was quite the hit among drivers, basically winning every race. In fact, in one of the races the driver managed to out-qualify everyone by like 8 tenths, nearly a second. So yeah, kind of knew that he was going to get pole position, but he was driving well. He got himself there, it's the most important thing. I'm already up into P2, which is expected. And now really it's just what can we do from here. I mean, we're not expecting to get in front of this driver and pull away. It's just never going to happen. In a drag race, this one in front will definitely beat us. And we don't know what the other karts are like behind us. We don't have people who made mistakes on their quali laps. There certainly would have been too many mistakes going on. It was this corner which was very, very tricky for me in this kart, and just generally really, but in this kart it was even more difficult. But yeah, he's getting a little bit of lead already, not really good. I'm feeling a bit of a push from behind, which is good, and it was very oversteering, not what I was used to at all. The steering wheel was very upright as well. These karts were definitely, they all differed in their own ways. But in the overall grand scheme of things, I would happily take having this kart in every heat, because it really is something that you can use. And we're crossing the line P2, kart 23 in front of us. The Brazilian driver already getting away. Good start for him. And we are actually catching now. We've got someone right on my tail, pushing me along. It would be George Suarez, who went on to finish 4th overall. So no slouch at all. And yeah, it was good to. This is a very good position that we're in. We're not amongst the pack. We're not in any trouble in that sense. Not losing unnecessary time. We do have I think at least 2 Blue Star drivers in this as well. So there's talent galore in this. I know Ruben's a few places behind me right now, and he does get very close towards the end of this race. It has to be said that a battle nearly emerges. I guess we'll see. But at the moment, not doing too bad. However, going into this corner here, way too late on the brakes, completely oversteered. Very disappointed in myself. Not good enough, has to be better. I apologise to the driver behind. He expectedly goes for a move, probably fed up with my terrible driving, or just thinks he can do just as well himself, which he can. He qualified P2, he very much knows what he's doing. Look behind, and we've got drivers still not far away at all, so we really can't. We need to stay on the pace, we need to stay with George, stay in a slipstream. If we fall out of the slipstream, we can be in pretty serious trouble, which we don't want to land in. And yeah, as you can see, slipstream working very well for us. We've got a pretty good corner here. I think George taking it a bit more tight. He's appreciating the efforts of working together, and I really do just need to be absolutely perfect. Again, bright sunshine in Portugal. We've got it every single day. Great weather. I think it's particularly on the last day or so, it did get pretty hot, uncomfortably hot for people like us, especially for UK people. We're not used to this. It's too hot for us. But it was a nice change to have some decent weather. George is pulling away a little bit. He likes to lean in as well. That's his style. But we had a pretty good corner here. Trying to keep up. Obviously, this Brazilian driver is he's getting away. He's pulling away a little bit every single lap, and there's not really much we can do about it. Again, quick check of the shoulder, see where everyone is. Kind of stays the same so far, and we're definitely being helped by the slipstream with George, although he's starting to slowly get away, and that's not good news for us at all. But we are in a decent position, it has to be said. You know, if we get top 3 in this race, I'd be very, very pleased. Whether we get that, we'll find out. But it's not going to be too straightforward. We do catch up to George, maybe a bit too much, a bit too quickly. Caught ourselves off guard again. The brakes on these karts are very difficult to handle. You can't really get a feel for them. Some of them were very responsive, others were as if they weren't there. So yeah, very, very tricky. Very tricky to try and gauge on the one lap shootout as well. That's where you get a little warm up. You get to drive halfway around the track. That's when you can test your steering, test your brakes, get an idea for the kart. And at the moment, it's the gap's kind of staying the same between, especially George and I. I think the Brazilian driver just eking out like the odd 10th every lap. And he's doing what he needs to do. Again, quick check over the shoulder, and we can see some drivers working together. They are definitely planning on catching up, and we can't afford to fall back. Move along here. George is just slowly getting away, and this is where it becomes a bit more of a problem. I've now lost at a slipstream. I'm now not getting that extra speed on the straights, and these drivers behind are going to catch up. And obviously, you have drivers like Ruben behind. It's not going to be easy. These are drivers who don't make a mistake at all, and they'll be used to this sort of competition. They'll be used to travelling around, racing against all the best drivers all the time. And I think it's a reasonable thing to say that rental karting is taken way more seriously abroad than it is in the UK. The competition is definitely more fierce abroad than the UK. There's no doubt about that, especially when you get to indoor karting, etc. Yeah, these drivers don't make a mistake, so it's good practice for us to be as consistent as possible and really try and drive as quick as you can. And I'm not doing too bad. I'm running top 3 in this race. Managed to have a heat win, so things are not bad. It's a pretty good debut in terms of racing abroad, but we are starting to feel the pressure a little bit from behind. Bradley Shepherd on the side there saying, go forward, go forward, go forward. I'm thinking, do I pit, Bradley, do I pit? But you could see the gap very clearly there with the drivers behind. They are working together and are catching pretty nicely. These two drivers ahead, eking away. What I would give to keep this P3, I can't explain to you in this moment in time. with the drivers right behind us. I mean, it could easily go from being a P3 to a P6. This is really why we don't want the pack to catch up. Quite strong in that area there. It's these right-handers that we're not too great at, although that wasn't too bad. It's the following right-hander, which has definitely been my weakest corner of the whole track. Again, feeling pressure, looking behind more than we would usually. Just trying to... a leader goes into the dirt there, so you wouldn't think he's feeling the pressure, but yeah, now looking behind, probably a bit too much than I should have been. Clearly feeling the pressure. Maybe I'm trying to look across to the track. I can't remember what I was trying to do. But we're driving quite nicely towards the end of this lap. Looking behind again, hesitantly. I'm thinking, do I pit? Do I pit? Messing up a corner there. Now we really are not driving too well. We've got some drivers very close behind now, even closer than what it looks like on camera. And then I'm going to pit, and then I see Bradley Shepherd on the side giving me the cross. Do not pit, Dante. Carry on doing what you are doing. But we noticed behind Ruben pits, which is very interesting. It spices up a little bit. So now it really is a flat-out game of we're now racing Ruben, but we're on other sides of the circuit. He's now doing his pit stop. We're going to continue as we are, but we can't afford to let off the gas. We're hoping these drivers behind don't continue to catch us up as well. That would be a problem. I can't remember when we pit. We might be pitting this lap. But yeah, we still got the first and second still on the same straight as us. We haven't lost a terrible amount of time, but when it's the odd 10th or so every lap, it builds up. I think these are 20-minute races. 20-minute races, yeah. Not so many laps because of how long this track is. So you're looking at 15 laps or so. I think I'm purely guessing, but we must be looking to pit very soon. We do have drivers right on our tail, but let's just see what happens. Let's just see what we do. I'm giving a nod to someone. I'm deciding to pit. This is the right time. Let's pit. Let's pit. Let's pit. Let's pit. And it's an advantage to pit afterwards, because yes, you may come out with less speed, but you basically come out a bit more in front of where you should be, and then it's up to you to defend that spot. As you can see on the leaderboard, we've got around 6 or 7 people pitting right now. Loads of people in the pit lane, but this is a race against Ruben right now to keep this P3. You've got other Blue Star drivers. You've got loads of drivers in now. There's only 2 minutes left of the race, but we're going now, accelerating away, and we hope to come out in front of Ruben. I do have a driver very close on my tail, very, very close, and there is Ruben. We've got a decent gap, but he's got loads of momentum. I'm looking behind, and I see that the driver who pitted with me has actually come out in front of Ruben, which is a blessing, actually. It is a blessing, because that now holds him up, and I think that driver manages to keep him behind for this lap, and that really helps us out. Again, driving, not bad. Been a bit iffy in places, especially when we felt the pressure, but it wasn't too terrible. The 2 leaders would definitely be pitting this lap. Obviously, if they didn't pit this lap, they would get a massive penalty, and we'd get an easy win. That's not going to happen. They ain't going to make mistakes like that. You got the odd time when people did make mistakes. Moment of madness. I've been there myself. Yes, we're just driving as well as we can, trying to keep these drivers behind us at bay. Obviously, it's not obvious on camera as to how far behind they are, but I promise you, they are close. We're looking behind, and I believe we're going to go into the last lap now. It has to be the last lap. As you can see, the steward there putting the cone in front of the pit lane. No more pit stops less than a minute ago. This is definitely going to be the last lap. We're now going into a bit of a defensive mode. Again, the camera just not quite wide enough for us to see these drivers behind us, but we are feeling the pressure. And that driver behind him will definitely be feeling the pressure, because he's got Ruben behind him as well, and we've been able to jump him in the pit stop. So Ruben won't be happy with that. He'll be looking at getting a P3, but now he's in P5, and that's not where he'll want to be. He's obviously battling for the title. He's been doing very well. Some days I think he got 2 wins or something ridiculous like that. As you can see, there we go. Now you can see how close this driver is, and he actually says, "Go forwards, go forwards." And it's a risky one to trust one of those things when you know it's the last lap. But he is, as you can see, he is very concentrated on moving behind. So I think he's seeing keeping 4th place as a bonus. If I start defending and holding him up, maybe he feels like he'll be at risk of losing that. So we get a bit of confidence from that. As soon as we get to this area of the track, we are feeling a bit more confident that we're going to keep our position. Elegant driving there on King's Corner, I think it was called, through the chicane. Not quite taking it as wide, just to put off a driver behind from overtaking, but we are going to keep this P3, and we're really not that far behind P1 and P2, but it was never going to work out for us. But this is a good race for us, very, very good race. Very pleased with how it went. Finished P3 and on to round 8, the last heats round of this championship. We are going to do this 1 lap quali. We pull, I want to say, around a midfield cart, maybe just slightly above midfield cart. So not terrible. Obviously, you know, as a kart driver, you want the rocket every single time, but it doesn't always work out that way. But this, we just need to nail this quali lap. It doesn't matter what kart you get. You focus on your quali lap. You do the best you can do. So that's what we're going to do right now. Opening up the corner beautifully. This is the last group 1 lap quali until we do our match races the next day if we make it to the semi-finals and the finals. But so far this is a good lap, very tidy indeed. Very, very tidy. Bit of oversteer, but you know, cold tyres. We've only done 1 lap so far in this kart. This is the corner I struggle with the most, but I think this kart lacked a bit of straight line speed, but the handling was good, which helps. The handling definitely felt pretty good on this kart. I do remember now. You definitely felt like you could attack the corners a bit more. And yeah, the kart's sticking to the track a little bit better than the previous kart. It was noticeable. It just lacked the speed. Yeah, this is a very well driven lap. Yeah, got to admit it. This is a good lap for us. So I feel like I've definitely extracted the most that I could have from this kart. Again, I'd say this is around a midfield kart. Cross the line and we qualify 10th. Right in the mix of it for this last heat. We need a result in this one because we do not want to have our 21st position from a few rounds ago counting towards our overall score. So we need a good result, and we need to survive lap 1 first. That is the most important thing. See if we can make up some places, see if we can get our elbows out. And Mats de Jong on pole, very good driver. And here we go. It is a bit of a rough start, I think, from memory of this lap 1. Getting pushed pretty wide there. Not too happy with that. But we're going to have to stick it around the outside. It is a risky game, but we're going to give it a go. I was quite surprised not more people came up the inside there. But we're going to keep the inside here for sure. Try and put off anyone from making a move behind. And then now it's a fight to try and get to the other side of the track. And a lot of turning in going on from drivers ahead. And we're going to try and get a double overtaking here. Go down the inside of this driver. And we've got it done, but I get a little nudge from behind and I get push. Upset with that. Not sure which driver it was. But it was, yeah, not great. Got Sean Bry ahead now. Got a driver to our outside. So we're going to keep them to the outside. That driver in front goes really, really wide. This driver flying up the inside. I'm like, no, thank you. Very aggressive stuff going on in this lap 1. But we've survived. Lost a bit of time, but we survived. If we were able to make that move stick around that long right-hander, then we would be in a very good spot right now. We wouldn't be too far behind the blue suit, just further ahead. But now we are behind fellow UK driver Sean Briley. who very much knows how to drive, and it's now a mission of catching up to them, get onto the slipstream, and see what we can do. As I say, like, if I get into a slipstream, that really helps us on the straight line speed front, as this car does have good handling. Late on the brakes, making up a lot of time there. Definitely one of my strongest corners, that. I think that's where I was probably gaining people the most. I'd like to say I felt like one of the strongest drivers through that area. Kart World Championship does move to indoor again next year, goes to Belgium. So yeah, quite a unique event this one to do it outdoor. Probably one of the only opportunities to do it outdoor. But we're here on the last round to try and get a good result. At the moment we're around P7, P8, and we started P10, so we have gone forward somehow, but well, with some other drivers falling off, getting pushed wide, all of that lovely stuff. Will they come back through the pack and catch us up? We'll find out. But we've made good gains on Sean Riley here. Now we're going to sit in a slipstream, and slowly we'll start to catch up, and we're going to push him along as, yeah, it seems like the right thing to do for now. And we are catching up this driver in front as well, who definitely has somewhat decent straight line speed. And if we can stick with him, then we'll be pulled forward towards drivers and away from the drivers behind, especially those who we may have overtook towards the beginning of the race. Right on the bumper of Sean Briley here, really are trying our best. And just trying to be wary as well on what's going on behind. We don't want to get, I don't want to just sit behind Sean if I feel like people are catching up. Opened up the corner plenty there. As we see, not really struggling with this corner as much this time around. Again, just slowly catch up with Sean. I mean, the gap stayed pretty similar there. Getting a bit sideways as Sean as well. Really throwing that car around. And he suddenly slows down there. I accidentally tap him in the rear. He's like, calm down, work forward. Didn't feel like I could do much to avoid that, to be honest. But regardless, he's trying to rope in the driver in front. I'm going to try and rope him in as well. It's the UK way. Obviously want to be careful on where we load drivers. If we load them around that fast left-hander there, we've seen some people load each other off accidentally. Not something we want to do, especially when you're from the same country, as you do act as a team when you are at these events. And again, we're just sitting pretty for now. Not always going to stay that way though. I have to be conscious on what's going on in front. If the driver in red does start to get away, I think he was Spanish, might be wrong. And as you can see, a slight gap is starting to open up now in front of him, in front of Sean and him. Although we do catch him up in the straight, but I'm monitoring that pretty carefully. I do think that I will have a bit more pace in this car than Sean has in his. And I do notice that drivers behind are starting to catch up a little bit. But for now we're not doing too badly. I mean, we are staying fairly close to this driver in front. And we're going to continue to push Sean. With 14 minutes left of the race, so a decent amount of time. I think we will be fast forwarding in a minute. Sean happy with the negotiations there. We're going to move on a little bit now though. As you can see, the driver in red has started to get away, and I have noticed behind drivers are catching up, so we can't sit around. We have to do something. We have to try something. I know Sean was expecting this at some point. Very careful on the steering wheel, not wanting to hit that massive bump which costs you so much time. Yeah, this kart was handling well, and we will reel in this driver in front pretty quickly, actually. Surprisingly quickly. Very late on the brakes here again, using all the track available. And before you know it, we're already onto the back of this driver. So definitely the right decision. And I'm sure we'll get some questions and gestures from this driver in front in a sec as well. He's quite strong around that corner there. Again, seemed to be my weakest point. It may have been because of all my weight was in one space, so all of it was in the seat. You know, I'm not that big as it is, so I've got the pedals as close as I can to me, but all the weight's in the middle, and my seat's all the way forward. So it's a recipe for a fair amount of understeer, and I felt like I did feel that around that corner. Wasn't treating me too nicely. This driver passionately telling me forward, which we agree with. I mean, the pace is quite similar. Really, I'm only keeping up because of the slipstream, I'd like to think. Yes, very happy with these negotiations. Is this driver in front? But he is driving well. You really reel him in there. I think, yeah, sometimes you can get a good drive out of that previous corner. Really reel people in quite a fast speed. Could easily go for an overtake here on this driver, but it's just not necessary right now. He's strong in some areas. I'm stronger in other areas. Really, I need to keep closer with him round corners so we can really utilise the slipstream and catch up. At the moment, this is only an advantage for me because I'm just gaining from being in a slipstream. But for him, he's not being pushed along, and obviously being pushed along will help catch up this driver in blue ahead of us. Obviously the plan at this point is thinking, you know, when should we pit then? At the moment right now we're getting a very good slipstream. It's not something that we really, you know, need to pit out of. We've got drivers behind who are not really catching, so here we get a good run on this driver now. We're going to push him along. Push. Try and reel in this driver, although it's quite a big ask. Giving me a clap and everything. He's very proud of my work. Now we're going to move on a little bit now towards the end of the race. And we're all going to pit. As you can see, he's actually been able to drive away from me. So some poor driving from myself and some great driving from the driver in front has resulted in getting away. And now I wish I knew what you were going to see in a second. I wish I knew this, and I wish I pitted the lap before. And you'll see why in a sec. And this driver happy with the teamwork, but the race is not over yet as the leaders drive away. Brad Shepherd not happy with his car, and nearly got distracted there and actually getting away. But look at this driver in front. His bottom end is not good at all. Really poor bottom end. I wish I knew that. If I pitted a lap earlier, maybe I could have out-dragged him. There's no one close to us. It is now the last lap. It is now 1v1. The driver seems to drive as if he is defending. Could go down the inside there, although it would be pretty rough and ready. But this battle sure does get a bit rough in a moment. But it is the last lap. Surely this driver knows this. Surely he would expect an overtake fight. But we're going to go for it. We're going to go down the inside. Take the position. I was expecting an undercut, to be honest. It wasn't a perfectly executed overtake, but he's not quite got into that position. So we're going to turn in slightly earlier for this corner here. Did a pretty decent corner. Checking behind, really want to make sure that he's not come up the inside. Taking this corner nice and tight, all over the curb, not giving him any opportunity to overtake. But this is where it gets spicy. This is now the last lap of the heats. We could really do with this. At the moment we are currently P5. Taking it very defensive. Too defensive in question mark? Because now we've got the drive to the left. He was very strong on this corner. Now here we go, side by side. Last corner, last lap. Puts me over the curb, puts me on the grass. but we are still side by side again, nearly into the tyre. It's a drag race to the line, and he just about ekes out. We do finish P6. It was a very good battle and good teamwork throughout the race. Quite an entertaining finish. I was a bit gutted, to be honest. I'm sure he knows, a bit rough and ready, but it was kind of my poor defending which let me down to keep that position. But that is it for the heat races, and we will be moving on to the semi-finals and finals as we do manage to qualify for the following day. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you for the semi-finals shortly.